and talking to my peers now, so anybody in their 40s, 50s, probably in even 60s, often the conversation turns to, I'm needing to help my parents find a place perhaps to move from their home into independent living, maybe even assisted living, and it can be a daunting process to go through. So we are very happy this morning to have back on the show Jen Schaefer and Laura Grothaus. They have Horizon Advisors here in Chattanooga, and their very role, I'll let Jen kind of kick it off to explain, is that you help make that very daunting conversation and situation not quite so daunting, right?
Right. Yes. Thanks, Julie, for having us on the show. Yes, Laura and I met at a Bible study a few years ago in church, and I basically was sharing a little bit about my father-in-law's decline with Alzheimer's and how he needed to make a move. And Laura basically had worked in a business like this in Denver and helped by coming alongside me as a friend and just asking great questions and helping think through what our family would have to navigate in the months and years ahead. And basically, Chattanooga didn't have anything like this. And so Laura and I started dreaming about doing this very same thing, but in a more professional, not just friendship way, but actually helping families when they need to make a transition from home to assisted living, memory care, or independent living.
So that's what y'all do now, but it's at no cost to your client.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right. Yes, we do a non-medical assessment with the family over the phone or in person to find out a little bit about their care needs, and we are able to do that for free because when we move a family in, we get a little compensation from the community.
So Laura, I'll throw you in. If you were in the Denver area, is that what you said, in Colorado?
Yes.
Is this something that they've been doing for a while out there? Is their approach to independent living and assisted living different than ours here?
It's certainly much more well known out there. In Denver, the market is huge, and I'm not exaggerating when I say they have about 600 options in the Denver area.
Wow.
So when you are looking, that's very overwhelming. And to be able to have somebody guide you to your best locations based on your specific details is really helpful. Chattanooga is a much smaller market, but it still is helpful because most people aren't looking until an emergency has happened. And so time is of the essence.
Right.
So to have somebody who can come along and narrow down Chattanooga's 40 options to maybe your top 3 or 4 is still very helpful because you are working on time-sensitive, a very time-sensitive thing.
Yeah.
So narrowing down is still very helpful, and I think it's a good thing that Chattanooga has something like
Okay,
this.
we did not have a chance really to kind of plan much of our conversation before we went on air, so I'll just ask you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But let's say that it is a situation where it's not an urgent thing, but you just know that you want to make a transition. What does the conversation with y'all look like? Because I guess you've kind of visited all of these to make sort of an objective assessment to then bring to your client.
Yes, we, will narrow down once we talk to the family. If they're not in a, urgent need, we can just have a little more time to find a little more information from them about where they would like to be in 3 to 6 months. We don't really work with someone who's maybe 2 years out, but it helps for them to tell us a little bit about their budget and what they hope for in a community, what they're looking for activity-wise or different type of recreation maybe in the area of town. So then from that, we narrow down the 40 to 3. That's what Laura was mentioning. And we give them like a spreadsheet so they can evaluate the cost and the amenities and go from there.
And then do you also, Laura, because obviously you have these relationships, I guess, that you're building with these 40, if there is that urgent need, do you have an ability to call and say, hey, it's me, I know y'all are kind of booked, but what are you looking like the next couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, I think one of the benefits to working with us is we have those relationships with the buildings, the communities that we work with. So they are keeping in touch with us of saying, hey, we have a 1-bedroom coming open, we have a studio coming open. So we have a running knowledge of what's out there and what's becoming available. So when that emergency does happen, we can jump on really quickly and know where to start.
So I know you mentioned, Jen, that you don't like to, you can't help somebody 2 years away. You have to be kind of serious about wanting to make the switch. But is part of the conversation ever to help people with the reluctance maybe of making the move?
Yeah, we do try to help with that, but that is definitely one of the more challenging aspects to what we do. We can't obviously force anyone, and a lot of people really want to stay at home as long as possible, and some people do that successfully, and we support that. But often when we're working with the adult child, we do coach them on some conversation starters and helping them see the positives. We do the tours with the family, and often taking a senior physically into a community for a tour helps them release some of those fears, because a lot of people have never visited assisted living or independent living, and there's a lot of wonderful things that they don't realize about these places before they go see them.
You did mention the desire to stay at home that a lot of
Yeah.
people have.
Yeah.
Does part of your service include helping with people who can come to the home to help you?
We don't particularly, our focus isn't on home health or home care in that way, but we have referrals that we can give to people.
Okay, I have a minute left, so I guess, Laura, I want to throw it to you to close it out. Is your hope that people, when they call you, by the way, do they come to your office, or do y'all talk in their home, or how does that work?
Well, it starts with a phone call, and at that point, we kind of gauge what they're comfortable with. Most of the time, we'll say, hey, let's meet at a local coffee shop, or we can do it by Zoom if people are still uncomfortable meeting in person. We try to make it informal and easy, so it's not overwhelming or give us any kind of anxiety. We want this to be easy. So that is sort of how the process starts.
And the fact that the heart of it began through y'all's friendship.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what you hope to find with the people who come into your realm, that y'all kind of develop a bond.
Yes, we do build relationships with the families that we work with, and we visit them after they move in, and it's a wonderful opportunity.
It is so nice to have you both back. Thank you so much. You can find them, HorizonAdvisorsLLC.com is their website, but if you do want to call them, as Laura said, that's where it all starts. 207-1400 is their phone number, and you will feel like you're talking to family. Thank you both.